Oh, I was born 10,000 years ago. Nothing ever happened, I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing Ring Around the Roses, and I'm here to lick the man that says 'tain't so. I saw Satan when he lit the garden door. I saw Adam and Eve driven from the door. From behind the bushes peeping, saw the apple they were eating, and I swear that I'm the guy that ate the core. I taught Solomon his little ABCs. I helped Brigham Young invent Limburger cheese. I was sailing down the bay with Methuselah one day, and I caught his flying whiskers in the breeze. Queen Elizabeth, she fell in love with me. We were married in Milwaukee secretly. Oh, I schemed around and shook her, and I went with General Hooker to fight mosquitoes down in Tennessee. I was living when the country had a king. I saw Cleopatra pawn her wedding ring. I was there with colors flying when George Washington stopped lying on the night when Patty first began to sing. I led Moses to the promised land. I led Columbus to this mighty strand. And for Pharaoh's little kids, I built the pyramids in Sahara. I'm the guy that laid the sands. You can't expect a cowboy to agitate his shanks in etiquette-ish manner in aristocratic ranks, when he's always been accustomed to shake the heel and toe at the rattling rancher dances where much etiquette don't go. You can bet I set them laughing in quite an excited way when I happened into Boston as the band began to play. Oh, I happened into Boston and was asked to take a chance in the smooth and easy measures of a high-toned dance. When I got among the ladies in their frocks of fleecy white, and the dudes togged out in wrappings that were simply out of sight, tell you what, I was embarrassed, and somehow I couldn't keep from feeling like a burro in a pretty flock of sheep. Every step I made was awkward, and I blushed a fiery red, like the principal adornment of a turkey gobbler's head. But the ladies said 'twas seldom that they had had the chance to see an old-time puncher at a high-toned dance. Well, I cut me out a heifer from a bunch of pretty girls, and I yanked her to the center to dance the dreamy whirls. She laid her head upon my bosom in a loving sort of way, and we drifted into heaven as the band began to play. I could feel my neck a-burning from her nose's breathing heat as she do-si-doed around me half the time upon my feet. But she peered up in my blinkers with a soul-dissolving glance, quite conducive to the pleasures of a high-toned dance. Every nerve just got a tingling to that music of delight, and I hugged the little sage hen uncomfortably tight. But she never made a beller, and the glances of her eyes seemed to thank me for the pleasure of a genuine surprise. She snuggled up against me in a loving sort of way, and I hugged her all the tighter for her trust-defying play. Tell you what, the joys of heaven ain't a cussed circumstance to the hug-a-mania pleasures of a high-toned dance. When they struck the old cotillion on that music bill of fare, every bit of devil in me seemed to burst out on a tear. Oh, I fetched a cowboy hook and I started into rag, and I cut her with my trotters till the floor began to sag. Swung that gal till she got dizzy and dropped into a seat. I balanced to the next one, but she dodged me slick and neat. Tell you what, I shook the creases from my go-to-meeting pants when I put the cowboy trimmings on that high-toned dance. When I was young and in my prime, I swore I never would marry, but I fell in love with a pretty little girl, and sure enough we married. Ring-tum-a-ting-ting-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. We hadn't been courting but a few short weeks When we got in a mighty big hurry, we decided in a few short words the wedding day was Thursday. Ring-tum-a-ding-ding-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. We hadn't been married but about 2 weeks when she got meaner than a devil, and every time I'd look cross-eyed, she'd hit me on the head with a shovel. Ring-dum-a-ding-ding-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. She washed my clothes in old soap suds. She beat my back with switches. She made sure she's gonna let me know she was gonna wear my breeches. Ring-tum-a-ding-ding-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. We hadn't been married but about 6 months when we decided we'd better be parted. So she packed up her pretty little duds, and down the road she started. Ring-tum-a-ding-ding-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. And if I ever marry again, it won't be for riches. I'll marry a little gal about 2 feet tall, so she can't wear my breeches. Ring-dum-a-ding-ding-tarry, prettiest little girl I ever did see, and her name was Devilish Mary. 'Tis of a bold highwayman, my story I will tell. His name was Willie Brennan, and in Ireland he did dwell. 'Twas on the King's Highway he begun his wild career, and many a rich gentleman before him shook with fear. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. 'Twas on the King's Highway young Brennan he sat down. He met the mayor of Moira 5 miles outside of town. Now the mayor, he knew Brennan, and he says he, your name is Willie Brennan, eh? You must come along with me. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. Now Mrs. Brennan was going downtown provisions for to buy. When she saw her Willie taken, she began to weep and cry. Says Willie, hand me that silk pennant. And as soon as Willie spoke, she handed him a blunderbuss from underneath her cloak. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. Now Brennan took his blunderbuss, my story I'll unfold. He made the mayor to tremble and deliver up his gold. 5,000 pounds were offered for his apprehension there, but Brennan with a peddler to the mountains did repair. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. Now Brennan is an outlaw upon the mountains high. With infantry and cavalry to catch him they did try. But he laughed at them and he scorned at them until it was said by a hard-hearted woman, he was cruelly betrayed. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. They hung Brennan at the crossroads, in chains he swung and dried. But some there be who say they still do see him ride. They see him with his blunderbuss all in the midnight chill. Alone along the King's Highway rides Willie Brennan still. Oh, it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, gay, and undaunted stood young Brennan on the moor. We were camped out on the plains at the head of the Cimarron when along comes a stranger and he stopped to argue some. He looked so kind of foolish we begun to look around. Thought he was a tenderfooted just escaped from town. We asked if he'd had chuck, he hadn't had a smear, so he opened up the chuck box and bade him take his shear. He filled up on some coffee and some biscuits and some beans. And then they begun talking about them foreign kings and queens. About the Spanish War and all the fighting on the seas, with guns as big as steers and ramrods big as trees. About old Paul Jones, the mean fighting son of a gun, just about the grittiest cuss that ever drawed a gun. Such an educated feller, his thoughts come out in herds, and he astonished all them cowboys with his jaw-breaking words. But he just kept on a-talking till the boys, they all got sick, and they begun looking around to see if they could play a trick. He said that he had lost his job upon the 7D, and he was trying to cross the range to make the Santa Fe. He didn't say how come he'd had some trouble with the boss, but he asked if he could borrow a nice fat saddle horse. This tickled the boys near half to death, they laughed way down their sleeves. They said, we'll lend you a cayuse just as fresh and fat as you please. Old Shorty grabbed his laird and he roped, told Zebra done, and turned him over to the stranger, and we waited for the fun. Now Dunny, a rocky outlaw, had growed so awful wild, he could pour the white right out of the moon whenever he got riled. But he stood right still and waited like as if he didn't know, till the stranger had him saddled and all ready for to go. When the stranger hit the saddle and old Dunny quit the earth and started traveling upward for all that he was worth, the pitching and the squealing and the having wall-eyed fits, his hind feet perpendicular and his front ones in the bits. We could see the tops of the mountains under Dunny every jump, but the stranger, he was growed there just like a camel's hump. Oh, the stranger, he's had on him and he curled his black mustache just like a summer boarder a-waiting for his hash. Now he thumped him in the shoulders and he spurred him when he whirled to show them flunky punchers he's the wolf of all the world. And when he had dismounted and was back upon the ground, we knowed he was a thoroughbred and not a gent from town. The boss, who had been standing around a-watching of the show, he walked up to the stranger and he said, you needn't go if you can throw a lasso like the road old Zebra done. You're the feller I've been looking for ever since the year of one. Now he could throw a lasso and he didn't do it slow. He could rope them 4 feet 9 out of 10 for any kind of dough. And when the herd stampeded, he was always on the spot and set 'em all to milling like the boiling of a pot. Now this stranger's name was Jess, he's been with us since that day. He can rope 'em riding bulldog and on a guitar play. And there's one thing and a sure thing I've learned since I was born: every educated feller ain't a plum greenhorn. 'Twas in the merry month of May, when all the buds were swelling, sweet William on his deathbed lay, for the love of Barbary Ellen. He sent his servant to the town, where she might be a dwelling. My master's sick and sent for you, if your name be Barbary Ellen. Then slowly, slowly she got up, and slowly she drew nigh him, and all she said when she got there was, "Young man, I think you're dying." Oh yes, I'm sick and very sick, and death is on me dwelling. I ne'er shall see the day again if I don't get Barbary Allen. Oh, do you remember in Scarlet Town, when in the tavern drinking, you gave a health to the ladies all round, but slighted Barbary Allen? Oh yes, I remember in Scarlet Town, when in the tavern drinking, I gave a health to the girls all round, but my heart to Barbary Allen. She looked to the east, she looked to the west, she saw a corpse a-comin'. Oh, bring him here and set him down, that I may gaze upon him. Oh, mother, mother, make me a bed, and make it long and narrow. Sweet William died for me today, I die for him tomorrow. Barbary was buried in the old churchyard. Sweet William lay beside her. From one grave sprang a red, red rose, from the other grew a briar. They growed and growed to the old church top, till they could grow no higher. They growed and growed till they tied a love knot, the rose wrapped round the briar. It's a raining and a hailing, and the moon gives no light. My horses can't travel, it's a dark stormy night. Oh, I'm gwine for to leave you, I'll write you my mind. My mind is to travel and to leave you behind. Yonder comes my dearest Willie, I know him by his coat of blue, I know him by his long blonde hair, and by his good behavior too. I love him better than father, mother. I love him better than sister, brother. I love him better than all of my kin. If you turn him out, I'll let him in. picking flowers as they sprung, and some she picked and some she pulled, until she had her apron full. Who's gonna bring you chickens when I'm gone? Oh, baby, who's gonna bring you chickens when I'm gone? 6 months in jail ain't so long. Oh, honey, to working on that county farm. Who gonna be your true love now? Oh, honey, who gonna be your true love now? I got my pick and shovel now. Oh, baby, your true love done gone.